Gary Brooks with the Healthy City by 2040 initiative. I'm here with my good friend, Jeremie Kubicek. How long have we known each other?
What's up?
25
40 years, 50 years? A long time.
25 years, maybe. Jeremie is well known as a national author. He's written some best-selling books. I've known him just as a friend. Got very interested a few years ago in one of his books called The 5 Voices. And those of you that are following my health and wellness journey, one of the things that I began to discover about myself was I was hitting a wall. First year of trying to get healthy at 60 to 61, having some success, but like a lot of us, I hit the wall and losing motivation. So I really dove into my personality and kind of what's going on. And so I moved into the 5 Voices, which is something that a book Jeremie wrote that I want him to talk about. About year 2, I really began to think about what are the things that are keeping me from being unhealthy. And the 4 pillars that you hear us, a lot of us in this health and wellness world talk about: movement, sleep, nutrition, and what I call stress. Some people just call it community, your environment that you're in. And about a year ago, I began to really focus on this idea of stress and what that does to our bodies and how it impacts my ability to sleep, which impacts my nutrition and how my eating habits, and I can't work out because I don't have enough energy, and it gets back to sleep, which ultimately my theory was got back to stress. So I went to Jeremie, 25 years of just trying to uncover, what would you describe it? Personality?
Yeah, self-awareness, personality, know yourself to lead yourself.
Yeah, so I want Jeremie to talk a little bit about your past, your history, these 20, 25 plus years that you've really been trying to break out self-awareness, helping people understand themselves better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what's it like to be on the other side of you, right? And so that truly, it's almost, I would tell people all the time, what if I had a drone following you all day long, and then in the evening we sit down with your family and we watched it?
Oh, that's scary.
What would it be like, right? And so many people don't understand how they lose influence, or like what happens to them and their body language, but so much of that is tied into what do they believe about themselves. Mm-hmm. So the core dynamic of your identity, like if you don't know your identity, it's hard to know what your superpowers are, which is hard to know what you're called to do. And then it's hard to give it away to multiply. So most people don't, because they're in this stress behavior of they're constantly analyzing themselves. They're constantly in shame and guilt for past things they've done. And this gets very spiritual too, but it's emotional, spiritual, mental, all tied in together. And it keeps them in this insecurity and doubt and shame. And then they speak over themselves. Like I always ask people, like, do you talk out loud to yourself? Do you ever talk out loud to yourself?
Never.
Never? You don't? Most people do. And
I would say never.
And
I
so
probably do. I'm not aware of it.
And people will talk out loud in the car, and then they'll say, and I'll ask them, what do you say? And like, you idiot. Why did you do that? Stop. Don't do it. Right. And then most personalities will do that. And so what they're doing is they're dominating themselves. And then that domination, that is kind of a negative self-talk, affects the way that they play in college athletics, the way that they lead other people, the way they lead their kids, the way they think about themselves. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's like, no, actually, what does liberation look like? What does it look like to call yourself up, not call yourself out? So that's what I've been working on most of my career.
Okay, so know yourself to lead yourself. I'll tell you my version of the story, then I want you to tell me your version of the story, because they're always different. Mm-hmm. So I think I came to your office, and I said, look, you deal with helping people understand their personality, profiling, to be able to lead themselves well. What about the physical side of that? I felt like you had nailed the mental side, but then you said, hey, I wrote a book before 5 Voices, the Peace Index, where I dealt with the physical piece. And we began talking about, is it possible that before I ever think about how to get healthy, meaning eating better and working out more, that I really need to understand what's happening in my world first, and how, yes, the five voices impacts my brain, but you had already broken this down before that in the peace index. So what's your version of that first
Yeah.
story when you and I started talking?
So the idea of if you have to work on your life before working on your body, and the aha for me was I've spent so much time with executives and coaching people, even college athletic, even head coaches, and to go, you can't this adage that I've used forever, you can't give what you don't possess. So if you don't have it, you can't give it. And so what happens to most people and most of the world counsel is you got to be working out. You got to be doing all these things. If you have stress, go work out. And it's like,
Heard it.
yeah, but that stress behavior, your body's not ready. It won't move the needle. It'll just be a hamster on a wheel. You're just constantly, you're treading water because your body's not physiologically ready to rest and restore. And so it's just at best keeping you even. And so that's interesting to me. So I started to dive into like, what are all the facets and could you actually create a number? So if someone comes to you and they say, or let's say you go into a Starbucks and you see someone, you're sitting there and they walk in and some people are, what if you actually knew the number that was over their head? And you could see what their level of peace was. And you go, well, that person's a 42, that person's a 68, that person's an 84. And it goes up and down every single day. And so I got really interested in that. And I'd done some work way back when with Chick-fil-A, and we did this ad campaign and that I was kind of a part of through relationships. And they had like a number over someone and how they were feeling that day.
Okay.
And I thought that was interesting. So if you took the same idea and go, well, what if we could quantify that number? What if you could actually figure out what the number was? And so then I'm sitting in an Anglican church in London when I lived in London, and this pastor talks about a couple of peace, how to find peace, and he broke down people and he broke down your purpose. But then we added other things into it, and we figured out there's 5 levels. There's purpose, people, place, provision, and personal health. And your personal health is kind of your dashboard to all of it. But what if we could figure out what that number is over your head? And what if we could help you figure it out so you weren't just spreading your lack of peace, but you actually worked on it?
So as part of this Healthy City initiative, Mayor Holt and I are working on, in my research, I discovered that the city of Fort Worth had moved from, on this Gallup poll, they call it the Health Index Survey, they were number 185 out of maybe 200 and some cities. And Mayor Betsy Price, who was the mayor at the time in 2012, 2013, she went to some city leaders and said, hey, I don't like being 185th. We need to change this. And so I got hooked up with her through Mayor Holt because she in 7 years they moved Fort Worth from 185 to 31st.
Wow.
It was like the biggest city transformation in the country, using the blue zones, and got certified. And so I had a long conversation with former Mayor Price, and she's telling about this Gallup Health Index survey. So I'd never heard of this, so I pulled this up, and they use 5 metrics: purpose, social, financial, physical, and community.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat back and I went, these are the same 5 that Jeremie identified in the Peace Index. So my first thought was Gallup stole their 5 from you.
We just made ours all P's. So that helped.
It's fascinating to me that in your couple of decades of research, Gallup, who's arguably the largest organizational in the world, come up with these exact same 5 issues. Why are those 5? How did you arrive at those 5?
Yeah, I mean, for us, everything that I do is almost like just practical common sense. It's like people cause stress, right? They're an issue. They're a lack of peace. And for us, it was all about dismantling chaos. So we were focused on where's chaos exist. Chaos exists with other people, because I always have this adage, don't let someone else's lack of peace affect your level of peace. But their chaos, and this actually came out during COVID, because Wiley, my publisher, pushed this book up to make sure that we could do this during COVID, because they felt the world needed it.
Okay.
And so you're really pushing this to go, yeah, chaos reigns in other people. If they don't have peace for themselves and haven't learned how to control it, if they don't know how to manage their emotions, you're going to have to manage their emotions for them. So chaos is there. Purpose was just like, you want to have a purpose. Like, if you don't have a purpose, then where am I going? I'm just here, right? So many people are looking for purpose. And when they don't have purpose, then stress comes. And in each case, purpose stress is different than people stress.
Right.
And then you look at place. Well, we all live somewhere. We all work somewhere. That's a thing. We all have a commute. That's a thing. Or you live at home or work at home, but still place is a just natural part where there could be stress there, especially tied to people. And then you get into provision, which is like, I need to be able to pay for all these things. I have to pay for school and do all these different, so that creates stress as well. So we kind of looked at a human and going, what are the elements of peace that we're managing every single day? And those were the kind of 5. And then the last one is personal health. We say personal health because it's not just physical. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's physical, it's holistic.
Got it.
And so, which is really ends up being a dashboard for all the others. Because if all the others are off, it's going to show up in your mental health. It's going to show up in your physical health.
Okay, so you and I start having these conversations. I'd read the Peace Index, but I'd forgotten some of it. So you bring that back in, and I get fascinated because I start to think stress is it's a biological issue. My first real connection with something's happening in my body. I was given a speech, I think it was downtown Rotary, maybe 300 people. It was at the National. I was very comfortable. I remember thinking, I know most of these people, a lot of them are friends of mine, and I'm talking about a topic that I'm very comfortable with.
Right.
So you've given hundreds and hundreds of speeches, so you probably don't get nervous. Occasionally I do, but in this day I wasn't. I remember getting up on stage and start talking, and I had no nerves at all. Well, I hadn't eaten breakfast that morning, not intentionally. I remember I didn't eat. And it was at lunchtime, so I wasn't eating lunch. Not super uncommon. And I wear a glucose monitor. And that morning, I was at like 85. I was just very consistent, which is right where I wanted to be. I get off stage, and I remember looking at it, and I'd spiked to like 150 or 155, which is really unusual, without any food or drink. Normally, it would require something pretty heavy carb to spike me. And I was like, what is going on in my body? I didn't even know that my body was reacting from a sympathetic nervous system. So I start diving into this. So I got all of your stuff I'm working with. And then I'm looking at my body is doing something from this stress. The research took me to Andrew Huberman, who's one of my heroes. I hope to have him here for our 2027 summit. And he talks a lot about cortisol. In the morning, you want the cortisol spike. But throughout the day, you want that to start declining. So at nighttime, that cortisol's down, you sleep great, wake up the next morning, it spikes again. I lived in a world of stress. I really began to process, especially during the first national journey, but for years, I was just in constant stress. Meetings and the issues and over budget. And I just started processing how many times what's going on in my body with cortisol and insulin. And it really began to impact me until I finally hit a point after studying Huberman. This may be the most important thing that keeps people from getting healthy. I've heard you say your body won't change until your life does. So I ran to you again. I go, look, I think everybody talks about stress. heroes of mine, Peter Attia and Matt Caberline, Brian Kennedy, two people I'll have in here for the summit. They talk about the stress and how negative that is. You have broken it down. I describe it like there's this door with stress on there, and everybody says, "Hey, that's a problem." You actually open the door, went in the room, and start dissecting. So we walk. You and I walk in this room, and we begin to break down all the different pieces of life. And it hit me one day. This is the first thing that needs to happen before I ever step foot in a gym or need to think about nutrition or any of that. I need to take and begin to figure out where's the chaos happening in my body, because when my body's under stress, what I've learned is all the other body systems shut down. My immunity system shuts down, which means I'm more susceptible to getting sick. My inflammation starts driving up. My muscle building system starts shutting down. Well, that's fine if I'm in fight or flight for 5 minutes. If I'm in that zone for 12 hours a day, and then I go home because I got chaos at my house because my relationships with my family's not good, I'm literally living in constant stress. Every other system in my body shut down. So talk through when you first kind of took your years of experience understanding people and how that started to align with the body.
Yeah. And well, I think absolutely my mind's going a million miles an hour because the complexity of it is what I've tried to dismantle. I'm trying to break it down so we can actually do things with it because it is so complex. Meaning, think about this. A husband, the stress of a husband goes home, and if they don't know how to deal with it, and then they project something strange, well, if they don't understand the personality of the other person, they can project stress to that person, which then gets transferred to their kids in the craziest ways, which affects the way that then they eat and what they do. And now you have a family of stress. And you have chronic stress in the home that people are nurtured in, which then takes 20 years of that, and they grow up and have kids, and they never processed it. So the complexity of this is really, really hard because it's not just you. It's you and the other people in your life all around you and how they deal with it. So you break down and control the controllables. And the way that my brain works is I go, okay, got it. Let's keep that out here. Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's go to you. Let's start with dismantling chaos. Let's look at chaos in your life. So before we talk about working out, before we talk about nutrition, before we even talk about peace, let's go ahead and look at chaos. What are you dissatisfied with? And let's go there. So if I had to sit with you right now and go, all right, Gary, what are you dissatisfied with right now? Well, some people may say, well, I can tell you, I had a conversation yesterday with last evening with a young, probably 28-year-old, very wealthy family trust business. He's desperately unhealthy. Like he is so desperate for something, but he doesn't know what to do. And he's beating himself up. And so he's so mad at the world, but it's all about his weight and his insecurity tied to his weight. But he has so many resources. He makes more than his boss. And because it is a family trust, right? So the issue is health. Well, where's the real root? It's hard. It's hard to find out. And that's when you go, well, that's for therapists. Well, what I'm hoping to do is get people, they can start to reveal it in themselves, to break down to where are you dissatisfied? Great. What's your vision? Great. Now, what are you going to do next about it? Well, if your vision is lower than your dissatisfaction, you'll have hopelessness.
Right.
And depression is long-term sadness. It's just hopelessness.
Right.
So a depressed person is someone who doesn't have vision. So then vision has to be higher than your dissatisfaction. So the point of this is that what I'm trying to do is dismantle chaos by first finding it, and it's okay to be frustrated, but let's not let chaos overwhelm us and own us. Let's break it down and start controlling the controllables. And you may go, it's my house. I hate my house. It's too small. Well, is it your house or is it your spouse and the house? So what are the dynamics that are in this? And so what I'm doing is I'm basically breaking all of the stress down to find out what it actually is And then when you find out what your lowest one is, now you can start to work on it. You can actually control the controllable and start going, do I need to move? Do I need a fresh slab of paint? Do I need to rearrange the furniture? What is it that might take that up just a little bit, which would then change my stress behavior? Because the biology of stress and the biology of peace are really interesting.
Yeah.
So
I think about when I was in my 30s and 40s and even in my 50s. I'll be 64 next month, and I'm at a really low stress place. My aura ring says, hey, I have very little stress. But I think about in my 40s, I would have had stress in all 5 areas, all 5 of them. I mean, if you would have said, hey, you got to number them.
Yeah.
Let's put a number from 1 to 20 on each of these and total it up. I mean, at any given time, that's a 90, 85. So how do you help people begin to break down? Do you start with one? Do you try to look at all 5 of them and try to identify which one's the worst?
So you start with the lowest. Well, a couple of things. Number one, you need to know which one's your driver. So out of these 5 areas, one of them is a driver. So for instance, mostly it's purpose or people for most people. So for professionals, purpose is a big deal. If purpose is off, if it's also your lowest, everything else will be low. Your driver is really important because it affects all the rest of them in order. So we got to figure that out first. Which one's your driver? Second, we work on which one's lowest. So if it is personal health, if it is provision, typically it's people, it's personal health, and people are saying physical health because they're eating wrong. And then I'm like, yeah, but where's that coming from? What's leading to that? What's the real stress, right? So once you dig and you find it, then you find the stress point and your lowest level at that moment. Let's just work there. Don't worry about the rest of them.
Start with the low-hanging fruit.
Start with the low-hanging fruit.
Love that.
And all of a sudden, then we go, all right, now we go to the next low-hanging fruit. Then we go to the next. And pretty soon you start controlling controllables and you dismantle chaos enough where you can start seeing vision again. And then when you start seeing vision again, you start getting reordered. Now it's time for the nutrition plan and the performance plan. But while we do that, and that's what's so fun with you that we're going to be working on, is I want to do peace before performance. I want to work on your life and dismantling chaos before you build your performance plan. But once you get to the performance plan, you have to have a peace plan. You have to have a peace plan on top of it. Yeah.
Keep the chaos down.
That's right. And it's because you can go default back to your old patterns and your tendencies can overwhelm you again. So for me, like I do a lot of work on, I do a call-up session every morning. It is crucial for my life because I know how I'm wired, which I want to get into.
Yeah, I was going to say, walk through that.
But then I look for people of peace. And I stay away from people who are not people of peace. Now, I know they're a key strategy. Every evening I do an examine. Where was I not at peace that day? And then I keep short accounts. So there's like some hacks and strategies that are mental and emotional management that needs to be layered on top of performance, or that stress will just come back.
I got so many places roads I want to run down. Some people live in a family environment they can't get out of. They don't have that choice. Some people are in a job. They've got bosses that are creating that chaos. So teaching people actual tools to do this, I think it's going to be one of the funnest things that you and I really dive into. But the road I want to go down first, you deal with a lot of extremely high net individuals. You're in that world. I was not one of those people necessarily, but I had a level of achievement in business that was pretty good here in Oklahoma City. I took great pride, almost in being able to say, hey, bring stress on.
Yeah.
I'm good at it.
I eat stress for breakfast.
I'm going to crush it. I can handle this. I thrive on it. Give me 4 hours of sleep. I don't need sleep. We take great pride in this. And then it's usually the people that were like I was that you're going to their funeral at 55 or 60.
They were amazing.
What happened?
Right.
How do you get high achieving, high
Yep.
drivers, type A people to shift their thinking from, oh, that's great. I want to be a person that is constantly dealing with the stress, to
Mm-hmm.
getting them to realize, in my case, the first reality was bad sleep is literally killing me.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, I did a deep dive into sleep, and I'm like waking up one day going, not physically, but in my brain, waking up going, I've been killing myself
Mm-hmm.
by not getting good sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, I sleep pretty good. I go, how do you know? You're not, if you don't track it, how do you know? So how do you get people out of that mindset into more of a world of, hey, you need to learn to be at peace.
All right. So here's again, breaking everything down. Like break it down to the smallest part, the fractal, key fractal. So here's an example. If you know your personality, there's a predictive pattern for stress. So if you understand your personality, you'll know, well, this is typically what pioneers do. There's 7% of the population. You're one of those.
Yeah.
So here, let me give you the quick breakdowns of
Okay.
the categories. There's 5 personality types. There's 16 variations of those 5. This is the 5 voices, but this is Carl Jung's work. This is the Big 5. There are 43% of the population are nurturers. Okay. There's another 30% that are guardians. Well, those two make up 73% of the population, and they're present oriented, meaning their stress behavior is going to be very different than future oriented people. Future oriented people are going to have a different stress. They're going to have different capacity levels too. So the present oriented can handle a lot more of just today task than the future oriented. The future oriented people can handle the complexities and ambiguity of the world way better than the task oriented, or the present oriented people.
Okay.
So once you know and understand there's nurturers and guardians, and there's creatives and connectors and pioneers, and who are you? How are you? So there's stress behavior. Let me tell you what they are. They're just real quick. A nurturer under stress is going to withhold care from people who are hurting people. They're going to pull back. So any 43% of the population, the majority women, their stress behavior is to pull back and protect themselves and protect other people.
Okay.
Okay. So if you see someone doing that, they might be under stress. It's an indicator. You know that's happening to you. The guardians, 30% of the population, majority male, their tendency, stress behavior is to interrogate. When they don't know or get nervous, they start asking questions and they start an inquisition to someone else because they're trying to solve.
Which to a pioneer can feel like an attack.
That's right. It can feel like an attack. So then other people pull back. So that's the creative. Their stress behavior is to hulk. They'll take it, and then they'll just erupt and they'll come, or they'll be really snarky and they'll be really cynical. Okay. The stress behavior,
That's a stress behavior
of a connector, which is me, is cyber warfare. We'll subtly slander other people we're mad at because it makes us look bad. Yeah. Oh, David. Yeah. Everyone knows David. And then we slander him kind of subtly, kind of joking, but it's cyber warfare. That's stress behavior. And then you, the pioneer, they bulldoze or grenade launch. And under stress, move out of the way, give it to me, I'll do it. Move, everyone out. Right?
You've been in my meetings.
And then you just take it and you take over. That's stress behavior. Behavior means how do you show up? How do you act in front of other people? Well, stress behavior happens at every home, almost every day, every
and
office,
every business, yeah.
every day. That's showing people are under stress. Well, if it continues in the pattern of that, sometimes it's just like a one-time, dude, I'm sorry I blew up. My bad. I'm going to work on that. Versus, no, every 2 days, Frank is blowing up or Linda is withdrawing. That is chronic stress behavior. Chronic stress is the killer. Stress can be managed, but chronic stress takes over. When it takes over our body, it takes over relationships. So all I'm trying to do is break stress down in these 5 Ps. And then I'm trying to show peace. What is peace? What is provision stress? And how is it different than people stress? versus purpose stress. Then I'm going to show what does peace look like, and how does peace counter it, and how does peace actually enter in, and how does it like take over and eliminate stress. It's so fascinating. And I've also found, I'm just going to say this, I've found that there are limits to it, that if you don't get in the spiritual world, you can only go so far. If you're not in spiritual, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things out there, a lot of hacks that just try to go, well, you need to meditate, you need to breathe, just do breathing exercises. And that's like the best that the world can give.
Which is extremely popular.
And
you're saying that's
and
as high as some people are able to go.
It's good. And it actually helps.
Yeah, it does.
And in some cases, like, well, you need to move your eyes. There's some hacks.
Right.
For sure.
Hacks is a good word.
That will alleviate. But I'm talking long-term peace. I'm talking resetting your life peace. Like radically reorganizing your life peace is different than hack peace.
Yeah, I just listened to Chris Williamson on a 3-hour podcast interviewing Andrew Huberman. I mean, two of the biggest podcasters, and that's exactly where Andrew Huberman's saying. He's going, look, I've had to move into the spiritual world. It's the only thing that I can prove that is giving me, he didn't use the word peace, but that's what he's talking about.
It resets and it changes the way you see everything. And so I'm just saying that's got to be a conversation because you can only go so far.
Okay. So I'm going to go down another trail here. It's fascinating to me. So 73% of the population, what's the word you use?
Present oriented.
Present oriented.
Thinking about today through the weekend.
As a person who's now 4 years into a health journey, I mean, 60, you've heard my story.
Yep.
I'm in the Great Hall. We've been open a month. I'm sitting in the Great Hall thinking, I'm going to die. Heart surgery in 2019. What caused that? And until we opened, I was 24/7, 100% focused on that building, not myself.
Yep.
A month after we open, I'm literally thinking, I'm going to die. Like I feel like I'm going to die. So I go full speed, which is my personality, Pioneer Creative.
Yeah.
I'm 100% into health and wellness. One of the things that we know is most people can't stay with a long-term health and wellness plan.
Right.
It's why you see all the fitness center ads on for the last 3 weeks in the new year.
Right.
Into January, they go away. They've got their memberships for the year.
They're good.
And most of those people won't come back.
That's right.
That's their business model. If I'm a present-oriented person, I'm going to be much more concerned about how I feel right now. I'm going to make decisions today. I don't feel like working out. I need that ice cream, which I love. It's got to be so hard. I'm not in the 73, I'm in the 12, the Pioneer Creative. And I still struggle with some of this. So I can't imagine how hard it is for someone who's present-oriented to figure out a health and wellness program. So walk us through why what I began to recognize and come to you going, people have got to understand themselves first and how to manage themselves.
All right. So I'm playing out loud here. So culture is atmosphere. So our upbringing is what we grew up in. And so it becomes a habit and it becomes natural and you don't even know it. Meaning, well, we always go for a chicken fried steak every Thursday night. My mom told me to eat everything on my plate.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
So therefore, if the plates get bigger and bigger, I'm supposed to eat it all.
Which they have.
And therefore, our culture, so most people don't even know. They don't know that, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about just choosing a portion size and only eating that. Because it's culturally not part of our ethos, our journey, right? So what's interesting is that I found you had a blessing of a heart attack, or not? You didn't have a heart attack, heart surgery. You were close.
I was close,
but you had the unfortunate blessing. It was a wake up call.
It was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Right. Well, I had a car accident that affected me. Okay, that changed my trajectory because it changed the way I saw my life because life was fragile and I had a near-death experience. Okay, so I'm one of those guys. So I saw it I felt it. I was there. My wife saw it, felt that we were there. It woke us up. But most people aren't woken up. So it takes some issue, some negative to wake them up, because our culture says, no, eat everything on your plate. That's fine. So therefore, eating is out of whack. Or my parents never, I didn't know I needed to exercise. I didn't know I needed to move. I didn't know I needed to, because it wasn't in my culture. It wasn't my atmosphere. So the hard part is the habits of 20, 30 years of living in someone else's atmosphere and not knowing. And then all of a sudden it takes a health crisis to get them, or they have such chronic stress that causes an issue that someone says, dude, you got to work, you need help. And they finally get to that point. If they don't, then most of us tend to just default.
So let's go one layer deeper. I know in my own life and other people's, what you said is 100% true. It's the study's years old. I won't get my numbers right, but they followed 10,000 heart attack patients, and after a year, 93% of them had not changed their lifestyle.
Yeah.
The very things they did that almost killed them, they wouldn't change. Friend of mine got cancer, and as we know, sugar feeds cancer, and that person's still eating cinnamon rolls almost every day. We're like, how do you?
Are those bad? Cinnamon roll?
Oh, it depends. That's why, to me, this issue of understanding yourself is so critical, and how do you manage yourself is so important in what I call this personalized health world that we're now in. Being the conductor of your own health orchestra is a phrase you've heard me use, and I'm gonna just preach it till people are sick of it. But I'm incredibly sensitive to the people who are struggling. They know they shouldn't do that. And it's got to be part of this personality thing. I need that comfort now more than I don't want to pay the price of lack of peace, lack of comfort now. I'd rather pay the price for unhealth later.
Well, and the other component to this is sensitivity to peer pressure. Well, my family's gonna think I'm weird, or well, they're doing it, or my wife or my husband. Okay, I can have one more because they see what I mean.
Yeah.
So the pressure that's there. So it is you individually. It's also the peer pressure of the atmosphere around you. Then there's the cultural atmosphere. But like, I have a phrase I'm using. You had mentioned yours. Mine is, you have to radically reorganize your life. Like we're in a period of time where we have so many options and choices, but if you don't radically reorganize your life, you will succumb to the default of our world.
Dan Buettner, Blue Zones, talks about taking your kitchen, getting everything off the visually. And I hadn't thought about that before, but he talked about how important it is. We end up putting, the candy on the counter just because it looks cute in some cute container, and
because my mom did it. We always had it.
Buy it all the time.
Yeah.
I think of the things that I have just within my view. It's right there. And he talks a lot about changing your environment, one of the 5 Ps, to make it easier to not succumb to that temptation.
And this is the other part, because we can in our world, is to radically reorganize your life means you actually design your life as much as you possibly can. Now, there are so many people that are in survival mode that this doesn't even make sense to them. They're like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to design your life. I'm trying to make it. I've got 3 kids and I'm trying to. So there, just recognizing, as we're even talking, it is super difficult, obviously. But as much as you can control, as much as you control the controllables, as much as you can, how can you design your life to fight for the highest possible good of yourself? Not out of selfishness, but for the benefit of other people.
Right.
Because if let's not use you, because you've always been working out, and I know you've been more intentional, but let's say you're morbidly unhealthy.
My heart surgeon would say I wasn't always working out,
But let's say you were morbidly unhealthy.
okay.
Okay. Who are you affecting? You're affecting your spouse. You're affecting you. You're affecting your kids because you're not going to live as long. You're affecting your vacations because we're working around you.
Mm.
We're affecting your spouse. We're affecting the taxpayer because there might be certain things that, see what I mean? Like,
Well, I know exactly what you mean because I remember thinking one day, I was taught, as many people in my generation, and especially my parents, that everything's genetic. Yeah, it's just in your genes. My mom had heart problems. She died in the heart hospital. She was 77. My dad's had heart problems, so I'm going to have them. What we're now learning is only 5 to 20% is really, the other 80 to 95% is controllable.
mm-hmm.
So I know I have the ability to control that.
So if you know that that's true, and I believe that, then to control the controllable would be, well, I need to know my personality. 5voices.com. It's free. Number 5voices.com. You can take a test and find out your personality, your wiring.
Right.
It gives you your predictive stress behavior. You're going to see and understand how you handle stress and how it shows up. Great. Now let's go through and analyze, and that's what we're going to be doing at the conference, but we're going to go through every single P and look at purpose. And we're going to look at people. We're going to look at provision and place and personal health or physical, holistically. And then you start looking for dismantling chaos. How do we dismantle it? What needs to happen to dismantle it? And now, how do we rebuild? We deconstruct. Now we construct with peace plans. What's our peace plan? Now, once you start putting those elements in place, and then you create hacks for each one of these, whatever level you're at, and then you partner with your spouse or kids or anyone in your family because they have to go through it too.
Right.
So if that takes place, now you start getting a new system and you radically reorganize the way you think about yourself. You radically rethink the way you think about food. You radically rethink about how you exercise and work out. Now you're rethinking, and as your mind goes, so goes your actions.
Yeah, back to you'd made a point that resonated with me. I remember thinking, everybody else paid for my choices. My heart surgery was expensive. Well, insurance paid for it. Who pays for that? Everybody else.
That's right.
And it hit me. I'm a taker. I made choices. We all have the right to make choices.
Yep.
And this is an incredibly sensitive
topic.
Like, you don't even hardly want to move into it. But what I did, I kind of embraced it because I have so much empathy for people who struggle in this area. But I also know it costs, I think this is a true fact, the biggest or the second biggest expense in this country is healthcare, which is really sick care. We call it healthcare, but we have an incredibly good sick care system.
That's right.
If you're sick,
great.
I'm alive today. My wife was alive today because great medical people, acute care.
Yep.
We have a great sick care system. We don't have a health care system.
Right.
That's a
100%.
whole different arena of how do I stay healthy? But people go, why aren't you doing real estate anymore? How come you're doing health and wellness? Well, I discovered I changed my life by changing what I do. As you would say, I changed my body by changing my life. And I've got to spend the rest of my life helping other people figure this out.
Absolutely.
Because it is possible. And you've got some keys that in 4,000 hours of study, I've never heard people talking about.
And I feel like you are a RFK for the state of Oklahoma.
I'm not sure everybody would want to.
I know. That's good. But you think about him. He's whatever political. It's not about the politics. It's about a 70-something guy who can still do pull-ups like a 20-something. But what I love is we go, look, where are we at in our obesity percentage? If we had a graph, where are we at with autism? Where are we at with AD? All these, like, it's not working.
Yeah, 60% of people are walking around with at least one disease, chronic disease.
That's not working. So therefore you go, well, is that society? Yeah. I mean, like it was a systematic process of what we eat and drink and so forth. It's not working. Can't we just say, and whose fault is that? Do we need to find fault, or can we just go, it's not working? Therefore, what would work? And what I'm trying to say is I think the best way to actually start to get you to become healthy is to do the work of reestablishing peace. Because when you dismantle chaos and you reset peace, as you know, physiologically, your body resets. And when your body is in a place of peace, it can get healthy. It can build muscle. It can, all of the things that Andrew Huberman and all the specialists, they're specialists in health and wellness. I'm just focused as a specialist on peace and on self-awareness to go. But if you can get to that level of peace, now you're ready for performance. But until you get there, you're going to be a 3-weeker, 5-weeker, and you're done. Yeah. And then you're going to be back in the cycle. And if you hadn't done the work of peace, you have to reestablish peace at the center of who you are.
Well, Jeremy, I've done some pretty fun things in my career, but I've never been more excited about this. Your 25 years have brought you to a place of understanding some elements that I've never heard anyone talk about. And I can't wait for you to roll out this initial, your keynote, and of course, it's going to expand from there. What's your vision for, you're going to have 45 minutes to tell people something that's important to them, but this is a much bigger thing than Jeremy talking for a 45 minutes keynote.
So I've been building with AI a GPT that I can't wait to take you through as well. It's unbelievable on how it actually, by asking questions, it'll actually take you on a journey. And for me, this is a journey from this to this. And if you know you're going on a journey, there's going to be hard times and good times. Just stay in the journey. Well, I created a GPT with the AI to do the work for us. It's just unfathomable what it's taken me to find out the depths of where peace is not right and where I need to reset it. But then I believe it's actually community. You've got, there's all types of, I won't get off into Freud versus Adler, but like the therapy and how we've done mental health and where it came from versus Adler and his approach on community and nature and just being outside and being with people. And this doesn't have to be hard. We can actually make it easier to go in a community and work together to fight for each other's highest possible good and get to the point of understanding and resetting and reorganizing our life. That's the goal. So what my hope is actually to reveal this amazing GPT system, and then this AI component, and then actually a community where people can learn to reset every single level. And it's so fun. It's like reorganizing your house, but you're doing it with hope, not dread.
Right. Many of us have always separated mental health and physical health. And I've said, mental health is probably the biggest health issue. It starts there. What you're teaching me is, and what I'm learning from other experts, they're all one.
They're all
My physical health impacts my mental health. My mental health impacts my physical health.
Your
Spiritual health working.
Spiritual health is linked to the soul. It's like soul, spirit, body.
Right.
You have a separate soul and a separate spirit and a separate body. Well, they're all interrelated.
Yeah. Even, especially pioneer creatives, but you may say this is true for most people, we compartmentalize our life.
Mm-hmm.
I keep my work separate from my home.
Impossible.
Can't do it.
Text messages.
And what you're
interrupted.
What I feel like you've opened this door that just makes so much common sense that as I walked in this room, like now I can recognize all this chaos that was going on. I couldn't see before. I knew it was there. I couldn't see it. And now you're helping us break down. Okay, not only can you see it, let's go sit at this table and deal with
That's it.
that issue. Then we move to this table, we deal with that issue. We may have to come back to this one. Not only do I got to deal with it now, but let's give you the tools to be able to deal with this going forward so that you can manage yourself to lead yourself mentally,
And
physically, spiritually.
if you can claim the chaos, like if you can just know the chaos, now you can start to control the controllables. Now it's almost like containment of like, oh my gosh, I got to get that right. So then everything else starts to become a domino after that.
Do you see this a lot? People just don't know.
Yes. They know in general. I always tell people, general whining is not acceptable. Specific frustration, I'm all for. But don't whine. If you're whining, I'm not listening. But if you go, I'm really, really frustrated with my ... Okay, great. Why?
We can deal with that.
We can deal with it. What are you dissatisfied with? What is your vision? What do you hope for? All of a sudden, they're like, what have you tried that hadn't worked? Let's try something different. All of a sudden, that vision starts going higher and higher and higher. The hope starts rising. And then when the hope starts kicking in, now we've got some runway. We've got some excitement again that we can actually see change.
Yeah, I used to tell my team, if there's a problem, I need to know about it. The worst problem you have is the one you don't know about. Identify it.
That's it.
If you identify it, now I can do something
deal with
with
it.
it.
Yeah.
If I haven't identified it, and my belief is that most people who struggle with long-term health and wellness haven't identified what's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I always use that example of driving a car with no gauges. That's how I lived my life. My engine started up. I got up in the morning. It got me to work. It got me through the day and got me home. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I just didn't understand. I didn't have that dashboard in front of me.
Yep.
I wouldn't run my business this way. I wouldn't drive a car without gauges. So why do I run my life this way? And then I wake up at, like I said, at 60, I'm almost dead. 85% blockage in my widowmaker and 75 in my other, and the heart surgeon's going, you got 3 more blockages besides those 2. And I'm like, how did this happen? I blamed it initially on doing that big 7.5-year building, but this started in my 20s. All of my problems began decades ago and just exacerbated over time. So I'm incredibly excited that
me too.
We're working down this path. So what do you see next?
Yeah, I'm thrilled for people to like get into diving in to the concepts of stress and knowing it, and not just making it generic. Like I said, provision stress is different than people stress. I can't wait to show people what that is and the results of that, and then to understand peace and to go, there's baseline peace and peace hacks. Can't wait to show. I got a million of them. I got probably 25 of them, of these hacks that will help in every single area. What do I do if place is off? What do I do if provision's off? What do I do if purpose is off? A lot of cool hacks in there. Very practical work. But then there's a whole nother level for a few who want to go to a deeper level of a radical reorganization. And I'm excited for that journey too. So for me, I feel like you've been talking about the change in you. I've been working in the leadership space. I've been working in publishing. I've been working in creating content and all these things. And I do feel like for such a time as this, is like I'm ready to shape it and put it together and get people to go on a journey that isn't just selling them some product, but is actually a journey that changes their life forever. And I've been doing it behind the scenes, and I'm excited for it to be like a scaled approach.
All right. March 9th and 10th at the Skirvin, healthycityinitiative.com. We're going to have a 2-day seminar. Jeremie will be rolling out Peace Before Performance Monday afternoon on the 9th. I'll do an opening keynote, just talk about my journey, how a real estate guy went from real estate to almost dying to much better health. We've got some incredible speakers coming in. Dr. Matt Caberline from Seattle. Optispan up there is his company. Brian Kennedy, one of the leading scientists on longevity in the world, is coming in from Singapore. We partnered with the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation. Dr. Benjamin Miller, Dr. Arlen Richardson will be speaking. incredibly exciting list of speakers. We dive into mental health. We dive into physical health. Dr. Tara Scott's going to come speak specifically on hormone therapy, particularly women hormones. She's an expert in that. We're going to talk about how artificial intelligence, how to use AI in your health and wellness world. AI is not going to replace your doctor, but AI can help you become a better patient. It can help you become a partner with your doctors, what I call your health orchestra. You'll hear that term a lot from me, that phrase of become your own, the conductor of your own healthcare orchestra, building your team of experts, how to take responsibility. So that's the goal of this 2-day seminar. Just helping people to be empowered and feeling like they've now got the resources and some tools that you can use to begin moving into more of a healthier and longer term quality of life. HealthyCityInitiative.com is a website you can sign up. Very excited at noon on Tuesday, March the 10th, Mayor David Holt and I will roll out a 14-year strategy to make Oklahoma City one of the 10 healthiest cities in the country. I got passionate about this because about 2 or 3 years ago, I started doing some research as I began to get healthy about how unhealthy Oklahoma City was, and really Oklahoma. And I was shocked at the numbers. I could not believe how low we were. In one study, we're the least healthiest city out of 100 cities, the largest 100 cities in the United States. So I went to the mayor and I said, hey, we don't accept being last in anything in this town. Why in the world would we accept this? And everybody just seems to think this is the normal. He said, what do you want to do about it? I said, we're gonna flip this around. I don't know how, have no clue how we're gonna pull this off, but we do now have a strategy. That's where this conference came from. And so we're gonna talk about how unhealthy our state is, how unhealthy our city is. And the mayor and I are gonna roll out this strategic plan that I'm very excited about. It's incredibly bold. I've got Mayor Betsy Price from Fort Worth, who's done this, coming in as a consultant and helping us to say, how do we navigate this? So I hope you can attend if that's something that interests you. And Jeremie, I'm just really, really excited to put you up there and roll out this peace over performance. I think that this is going to be something that most people have not heard at the level that you're gonna help us get to, and then really begin to say, okay, now how do I manage this going forward? So
Fired up.
HealthyCityInitiative.com. Thank you for being with us.